Fuse with Ken, an amazing experience. Is it actually okay to be friends with your ex, and under what circumstances? Because let's be real, you were once attached to this person, and for whatever reason the relationship ended. Is it actually okay to be friends with this person?
I would say no,
Why?
because, like I said, one has to be matured enough to take that step, because you have to take care of your mental health. You have to take care of yourself. It is about how you feel, because you're still not gone over it, and you want to be friends, and you're going to come back and you're going to expect that person to validate you, and which he's not going to do, or she's not going to do it, because they just want to be your friend. But your feeling is that, oh, if I do this, they're going to come back. You're going to have some hope, like, okay, maybe 2 months down the line, maybe 3 months down the line, maybe 6 months down the line, he or she will come back to me. No, that's completely.
So you would never advise?
My advice, no. It's not possible, because people are going to be hurt again, and that person who wants to do it.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Fuse. In today's episode, we are exploring one of the most universally painful and transformative human experiences, that is breakups. Why do they hurt so much? What happens in our brains when love ends? And how do we truly move on, not just on the surface, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? We are unpacking the psychology behind heartbreak, attachment, grief, and healing. Whether you are fresh out of a relationship or still piecing yourself together months or years later, this one is for you. To discuss this topic, our guest is Dr. Loveena Arickswamy, Senior Psychology Lecturer, Certified Therapist, NLP Practitioner, Mental Health Advocate, and Psycho-Oncologist. Dr. Lavina is a seasoned psychologist, educator, and counselor with over 18 years of experience spanning the corporate sector, therapeutic intervention, and academic research. She holds a PhD in psychology with a specialization in self-conscious emotions, emotional regulation, and psychological well-being among women cancer patients. Currently serving as a senior psychology lecturer and counselor at a leading university in the UAE, Dr. Lavina blends academic expertise with practical clinical insight to shape a transformative mental health culture within higher education. Her work supports not only individual well-being, but also promote a resilient, emotionally healthy community. A passionate advocate for mental health awareness, Dr. Lavina regularly leads outreach programs in collaboration with schools, universities, and corporate organizations. Dr. Lavina's unwavering dedication to holistic mental health continues to empower the next generation to live with emotional intelligence, purpose, and strength in an ever evolving world. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Lavina. Hi, Dr. Lavina. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on this platform. I'm doing well, thank you.
So, how's the year been for you so far?
Year has started off very well. It's been an amazing journey, and since I come from a teaching background and
Okay.
being in the in the well-being, coming as a psychologist and counseling students and adults, it has been quite a challenge for me. And
Okay.
but the only way I see is where I'm able to support, help, navigate, especially students.
Okay.
It's I feel that this generation definitely needs support, because what I've been seeing, what has been happening with this, with social media and stuff like that, they definitely need support, and I'm all out for them.
I see. From your, antecedents, it's very clear that you like to help support people, younger people, even women, and that's quite
Yes.
amazing. But
Yes.
we'll actually dive into, what you do and, how you've helped people across the world, help them in their well-being. But let's look at the subject basically, because today we're looking at heartbreak. Moving on, because when we talk about heartbreak, it's a very important subject, like to everyone. I've been heartbroken before. You've heartbroken before. Everyone has, one way or the other experienced heartbreak in their lives. And this is a very strong subject for me. Before I chose this topic, I had to I did some reflection, you know,
Yeah.
just to understand what it is. But let's look at, the subject. So I would want to, really know, because reading out your, profile, it is very obvious that you're in the academic space and you do quite a lot. So, Dr. Loveena Arickswamy, what is it that you do for people, and what's the inspiration behind that?
Uh, that's amazing. That's a lovely question. So I need to give you a background about myself.
Okay.
So basically, I come from a corporate background. I worked.
Corporate background.
Yes, I worked
Okay.
with the airlines. I was an entrepreneur for 10 years. I had offices in multiple cities in India, 6 cities in India: Calicut, Cochin, Trivandrum, Mangalore, Pune, Coimbatore. And I had the franchisee for VFS Global. It was an amazing journey and beautiful business setup. Everything was going beautiful in my life. And obviously, I did do my psychology. I did my master's, but I did not specialize, or I didn't do anything at that point of time, because this was the route that I took,
Yeah.
And in 2015, my mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And that's
Sorry
why,
about that.
that's when everything came crumbling down for me, and which was quite shocking, because I did not expect, suddenly a woman who's so healthy and who's, she's been a woman who's given me all the values, very spiritual, helpful, and caring. And someone like her, last stage, fourth stage of cancer, the doctor just tells me she has 3 months to survive. And that, I don't know how to react. I didn't know how to express. All my siblings lived in the UAE, in the Middle East, and all I did is that I called my brother and I said, "This is what the doctor said." And all I heard was a very soft voice saying that, "Trust God." Because at that time, no one can give you any hope, right? All he said was, "Trust God." And I did all my breaking down, crying. Everything was over, because now I have to hold up a very strong, face in front of my mom with a smile, which was so hard. It was so
I
hard.
could imagine.
Yeah,
Actually.
and I'm just smiling, and then she asked me, "So what's the report says?" And I'm like, "Nothing. We just have to go and do a little surgery, and you're going to be fine." And I can only tell you that strength was supernatural strength which came to me, because now I was a soldier. I had to become that soldier, stand right there in front of her with a smile, and going through that journey, because all were here and I was all by myself with my 2 children who were small. And yes, so we finished the entire procedures, and her chemo was done. And the doctor said 3 months. So, and I didn't tell this to my siblings, because I didn't want to break their faith, Yeah,
Okay.
they didn't know. I was only one. So I had to go through a lot of emotional breakdowns. I had to go through a lot of pain. It was not easy, because I know what is in store, right? I know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. But just holding on and holding on to my faith and giving her the best. So we all relocated to Dubai, because the doctor said it's better you go and stay there, because it's the last time that the family is going to be with her. And we all came here, and most important, what we did was family therapy, giving her love, attention. I gave up. I just shut my business. I didn't care about anything, because my mom was my most important part in my life, and I wanted to do this for her as her daughter. And I left my business, shut down everything, came here, took care of her. And then I realized 3 months have passed and she's fine and she's looking good. I was like, wow, something's working. And I started spending time with her, her food, her cooking, everything, her walking, her physiotherapy, everything. I did it by myself. So I became the caregiver for my mom.
Okay.
And through that journey, I learned a lot how to regulate my emotions, because I have to do it every day of my life, just
Yeah.
carrying that smile at all times, you see. And when I did that, 6 months passed, my mom is still fine. 1 year passed, my mom is getting better. And I was like, wow, there's something beautiful happening over here. The journey began, but it was 3 years later when I saw my mom, just getting weaker. And I saw that, okay, now it's time that she has to leave. But we had the 3 years to be with her, give her that love, that joy, and that caring, that care that I was able to give her. And in 3 years, I lost my mom. After that, I changed. I sat down. I was contemplating, what do I do? Do I get back to my business, or do I get back to what am I supposed to? I had this very strong voice telling me, it's time to give back to the society. And that's how I was waiting. How do I do that? And my daughter's school invited me as a guest speaker. And that was where my journey began. I got into a school. I finished my guest lectures. The school called me in a week's time. And then they said that, well, we want to have a small chat with you. And when I did that, when we had this chat, they asked me, we are looking for a psychology teacher. And what is your background? Of course, they asked me for my background. And my background is psychology. So they offered me a job. And I was like, really? I don't have any teaching skills. And they were like, no, the way you did the guest speaking and the way you handled the class was amazing. And we want to have you. And that was where I saw God leading me. And that's how my journey began. From there, I started studying. I started getting to my PhD. I did my NLP. I'm a hypnotherapist, a timeline therapist. I'm a life coach. I am currently doing I completed my master's in psycho-oncology. So that has been a beautiful journey from an entrepreneur to an educator and a caregiver and an advocate. So that lessons, the real lessons of life. I learned so much with my mom, with my own self-esteem, my emotions, my pain, everything. So therefore, I'm today here to share whatever you
Amazing.
ask me.
You know,
Yeah.
I sitting here and listening to your story, because I when I asked the question, what's the inspiration behind what you do, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming, and I know what it means to lose a loved one.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. It's happened to me. Even happened to me in my very young age. So I know that feeling of grief. I know that void, that
Yeah.
vacuum that's there
Yeah.
when you no longer have a loved one, a parent,
Yeah.
as it were. And I'm glad that propelled you into your purpose, I would say. And the switch, no one saw that coming, actually,
Yes.
from the corporate, world down to a world where you have to help people, where you have to
Yes.
talk to people,
Yes.
and the whole academia thing that you do
Yes.
now. I know you read a lot of books, actually, to get to where you are right now. That's amazing. And let's look at your journey, which is going to take us through to the subject today. You were inspired by your mom's situation, and you were able to find your path. But let's look at this subject basically from a psychological point of view. What would you define breakup as?
Well, breakup is all about when your life moves apart, when two people coming together and they're not together anymore. There's a void. There's brokenness. There's pain, and according to psychology, it's literally tearing down your emotions. Once upon a time where you had dreams, you had built your dreams, you had built your a life together. You had that person as the center of your life, where you felt that, oh, this is the one I want to be with, and everything is shattered, and you don't know how to react. So it's that causes pain. So there's pain in your emotions. There's a challenge where you want to where you start doubting your self-esteem. Wasn't I good enough, or what wrong did I do?
Okay.
And where you lose control of the whole situation, because you don't know how did this happen, and is it your fault? You still don't know, because you're still there waiting to understand how did this happen. You're not ready for a breakup. So breakup is basically where you are attached to that person, because the brain, once you come close to a person, the brain understands and accepts that person as a part of your support system.
Okay.
That's what happens that's what happens in attachment. The brain, whoever it is, it could be your parent, it could be your child, it could be your loved one or your partner. So the brain thinks, okay, they are part of my support system. So imagine the entire support system is gone from your life. So obviously It's your emotions that's broken, that's shattered, and you don't know how to fix it back.
And I like the fact that you're able to tell us exactly what happens in the brain when there's a breakup. Because I myself, of course, at some point in my life, I went through a very traumatizing breakup, or heartbreak, as it were,
I can imagine.
and I struggled. And I know anyone watching this right now,
Yeah.
obviously, has gone through those sad,
Yes.
traumatic moments,
Yes.
and I would say it's inevitable for a human being, whether a relationship, whether the loss of a loved one way or the other, you'll be heartbroken, right?
Yes, yes.
So let's look at the romantic part of heartbreak, right? So why do heartbreaks feel so emotionally intense, even if the relationship wasn't that long?
Wow, that's a very good question. So, what happens is that when you're in a relationship, like I mentioned earlier, you it all depends on your attachment styles. No, you come with different attachment styles.
So there are different
So,
forms of attachment styles.
yeah, because it is basically how you are brought up, right? As a
Okay.
child, how you're developed. So some of them can get attached in a month. Some of them will take a year to get attached to that person.
Okay.
So it is not about the time. It's about you two individuals coming together and your attachment style, how they're attached. So breakup, say if it's 3 months or 6 months, when a person is attached to that individual, like I said earlier, the brain thinks that they're the part of their support system, and so they have their dreams, they have their plans, and they say, oh, this is the person I'm going to be with all my life, and
Okay.
I'm going to have the best time of my life, and they're building their dreams, they're building their relationship together.
Okay.
And so when there's a breakup, they're shattered because they don't know this is coming, or they're not prepared for it, and that's how they don't know how to handle this.
Now, I was trying to unmask the scenario that plays
Yeah.
out when there's a breakup. Because some people, the relationship is maybe like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and so, but they're emotionally attached.
Yes.
Okay. And so for some persons, they get so worked up when there's a breakup.
Correct.
Some persons take it easy.
Yes.
For me now,
Yeah.
having lived my life for the couple of years I have lived, and having had some kind of experiences, there's a way I would take a breakup now. Okay. 10 years back, I would not.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
So someone watching this show right now will want to know, why do people, react emotionally, to breakups when it
Yes.
happens? Why some persons do not, as other persons react to breakups, especially when that relationship wasn't for long.
Like
Some persons 2 months, they're already so much in love, and I'm like, it's just 2 months, right?
Yes, yes. This is because, like I mentioned, the attachment style. So for some of them, when you come from a family or upbringing or values where you have security, where you have love, where you're cared for, uh, breakup. If there's a breakup, it's easy for them to move on in life. But for
Okay.
some of them who are, in avoidance, or who have childhood traumas, who have gone through rejection, especially rejection, feeling abandoned, they are the people who are going to take a very long time to step out of this relationship, and they will go through emotional breakdowns, grief, pain. So this is why it is very easy for some to move on, and it is hard for some to just, they're stuck in that relationship for a while because of the feeling of rejection, and they keep blaming themselves. Was it me? Wasn't I good enough? Why did this happen to me? Why me? And it gets hard.
So is it fair to say that, our reaction to breakups could be traced back to our childhood experiences?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at psychology, everything is related to our childhood. The way we are developed, the way we are brought up, our value system, the love that we get from our parents, our upbringing, our caregivers. Everyone plays a very important role in our life, and this is most important. And this would define your future, in fact. And sometimes, probably, I always tell people, okay, fine, maybe you didn't have a good childhood, but very important for you to, as you understand work on yourself, accept it that yes, I know I see a problem here and I have to give attention to
This particular problem.
this particular problem, address it, acknowledge it, and when you work on it, you can just you're perfectly fine. So it's not that many people come to me and say, oh, because childhood trauma. No, childhood trauma, each one of us have gone through childhood trauma, right?
Yeah,
But
of course.
as you, like you said, 10 years back, if you had to go through this, you would have been the same thing. But today, you will just move on because you've learned through your experiences in life. And I think each one of us learn so many lessons of our life. And some of them don't want to learn. That's what I look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them don't. And that's how they commit the same mistakes time and again. Some of them learn, yes, okay, these are lessons I learned, and so next time I'm going to be careful how I'm going to handle this.
Actually, we'll look at, lessons we learn in breakups later on in the show, because I think that's a very important subject or angle to this, whole story. But let's look at something. I saw a study that says that breakups can trigger literal craving responses, meaning like heartbreak physically resembles drug, withdrawal and addiction. How true is that?
That is so true, because when there's a breakup, when people are no longer in the relationship and they do not know how to, find a source of or a solution. They don't know how to react to it. So what they do is they find a quick fix. So they go into a rebound relationship. It'll just go and find someone and just say, okay, fine, I'm going to be fine. But when they are into that short-term relationship, which is so temporary, again, they're going to be thinking about their ex and saying that, oh, this was like that. And they start comparing, oh, she was like that or he was like that. And they're not going to be happy in that relationship. Some of them would, get into drinking, smoking, and find solace in that place and saying that, okay, fine, this is how my life is going to be. Some of them come with emotional, I would say, they just close themselves and say, I'm fine. And it is very superficial, saying that everything is fine, but it's not, because there's something under the carpet which is there, suppressed. And if that is not addressed, in some time, it's going to manifest in their lives. So these things are very important.
Now, listening to your explanation about, the study that I saw, because they say that, okay, for someone that's addicted to any substance, when you want to, when you're looking at healing or coming out of such a situation, you struggle with withdrawal. And likening drug withdrawal to a heartbreak, isn't that too serious?
If you're asking me if you're
Yes,
comparing
if you
both?
compare it, because people say that someone going through a breakup could be
Is-
likened to someone struggling with
The withdrawal
withdrawal stuff. So, and I'm saying, okay, why is that? Isn't that too serious? Because we know, according to your explanation here as well, that everything has to do with the brain.
Yes.
The brain processes it.
Yes.
So they are saying, or according to the study, that when you go through a breakup, your brain also struggles to withdraw.
Yes. Like coming back to what you asked me right now is so true, because like I said, when the person is attached, they get a hit of the dopamine. Your dopamine is high at all time because you're in love. You're in a relationship which is like you're looking at a future. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We're going to build a
Okay.
house together. We're going to go for holidays together, and you're getting dopamine every day. There's dopamine every day coming to you through that person, because that person becomes the center of your life. Everything
Okay.
revolves around that person. Everything.
All
Even
right.
even making decisions, it's like you have to ask that person. And suddenly when that person is out of your life, this chemical or this hormone drops down. Then you feel worthless. Your self-esteem is so low, because you feel that, oh, what have I done? I've lost everything. That person is no more. Now what do I do? So it is the same thing like an addict. When you don't give him to drink or smoke, the symptoms that he goes through, that I need it, I am craving for it. The same thing this person is craving for, that love.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're craving for that love. They're craving for that attention, because someone was there to validate everything that they did. Someone was there to appreciate, and that person is no more. So how are they going to react? It's the same feeling. So what you said is absolutely right.
Amazing. When I look at heartbreak, because trust me, I've had my own fair share. And I think if someone watching this most likely has gone through your fair share of heartbreak. And if you're actually watching this and you've actually gone through heartbreak, I think you should stick to this channel for this episode, and you're going to get some very, good tidbits on how to navigate the whole situation. But let's look at it, because I also saw, a study that says that the brain, scans show that looking at an ex activates the same region as drug addiction cravings. When I was listening to your explanation, you said when people break up, they still want to go back to talking to the ex. And according to research, the brain scan shows that when you look at the ex, it takes you back to like the addiction. How true is that?
Now, again, it depends from person to person. It's not for everyone. Because, like
Okay.
I said, coming back to attachment style, for some of them, after a breakup, would want to move ahead in life and move on in life.
Okay.
Some of them who are stuck, for them, it's like an addiction, because even when there's a breakup, they'll still go to social media and they'll see, oh, what's happening? What is my ex doing? I just want to see. And again, the dopamine hit. They get a high just to see. Sometimes, for some individuals, it's like if their ex is happy and has moved on, again, they're going to back to their emotional breakdown. It's like opening the wound again, which was healing,
Okay,
So
all right.
going back and forth, which people do, and that's how they get stuck in that cycle of emotions at all times.
Now, going back to your ex, it's a very important important stuff for me, because I've seen people be in relationships that was so bad. They had no business being in that relationship, by the way. But along the way, they were in love. The relationship ended, but they were still stuck with their ex. And what they do sometimes is they try to stalk their ex on social media, just like you said. And we live in a world today where at just a click of a button, you can see your ex, right? Even if you guys, unfollowed each other on all platforms, you could still use another account to see what they're doing. Who is he talking to right now? Who is she talking to right now? And all of that. And I think that plays a very, very pivotal role in the way we react to breakups. So, to that person watching this show right now, and I'm probably struggling with not stalking the ex because they need to move on, right? What would you
Correct.
say?
I would say that if you ask my opinion, I would say that they should stop doing it, because that is not going to help them at all. Because since they've made a decision to move on, they have to completely block their social media. Every platform has to be blocked. But yes, what they say is that just a minute, just for a while, and nothing's going to happen. No, like I said, they're opening the wounds again, which was healing.
Okay.
So it is a no. But when you heal, the other side of it, when you really heal from that brokenness, when you're healing from your from that wound, and when you're matured about what you're doing in life, and then just to go back and be friends, that should be fine. But this is complete a no, because people who do this would never heal. They will just be stuck there.
You said something in your explanation. When you heal and move on, maybe when you guys are friends and all of that, and it just reminded me of something. And I was actually thinking of asking you that question because of the show, but when you said that, it just clicked. Is it actually okay to be friends with your ex, and under what circumstances? Because let's be real, you were once attached to this person, and for whatever reason the relationship ended. Is it actually okay to be friends with this person?
I would say no,
Why?
because like I said, one has to be matured enough to take that step, because you have to take care of your mental health. You have to take care of yourself. It is about how you feel, because you're still not gone over it, and you won't be friends, and you're going to come back and you're going to expect that person to validate you, and which he's not going to do, or she's not going to do it, because they just want to be your friend. But your feeling is that, oh, if I do this, they're going to come back. You're going to have some hope, like, okay, maybe 2 months down the line, maybe 3 months down the line, maybe 6 months down the line, he or she will come back to me. No, that's completely
So you would never advise.
my advice. No, if you it's not possible, because people are going to be hurt again, and that person who wants to do it is just going to delay their process of healing. It's going to be a delay. But yes, if they're matured enough after a few years, because maybe you may bump into them, maybe you may just, somewhere you just see them, and have that maturity to stand by, smile, and say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" That's it. I would look at it that way.
I try to understand what you're saying, but let's also look at it from this perspective. People say that, don't burn bridges, right? There's that cliche. And the fact that a relationship did not work out does not mean that we should be enemies. All right. Maybe we could have something to do together in the future, business or whatever, or we might cross path in any way. And I've heard people say that my ex, we are good friends, And someone watching this show right now and would say, okay, Dr. Lavina is saying I should not be friends with, my ex. And the person is questioning why. Because if I look at also my own experiences, I've had people that it didn't work out with, but we were actually cool. All right?
That's what...
We're actually cool. So I think basically, like you did say, that's where the maturity comes in.
That's what I said.
That's where the maturity comes in. So I think if you're mature enough and if you're emotionally intelligent enough, where you know that, it is what it is. It's life. Things happen. Okay, the fact that we didn't work out emotionally doesn't mean that we should be enemies. But you're saying if you're not that emotionally enough, please don't be friends with the ex, because I think you would just... It's going to be that cycle.
Yes, it's a cycle.
It'll be that cycle.
Right.
Because you will not want to leave the person, because you'll be having that feeling like, okay, maybe something's going to work out.
Yeah, that's what I said. No?
You said that. Maybe something's going to work out. Yeah. Let's be close.
But that's a false hope.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we later discussing that once you're healed and once you're ready
how do
to be
you know
friends,
when you're healed?
Oh, that's a good question. So how do you know when you're healed?
Yeah.
You would know it. So I would say so it's a process. Healing is a process. Healing is about getting deep down inside yourself and looking at yourself. Like, are you able to let go? Are you able to forgive? Like when you look at that person, or maybe you're looking at something, or maybe you're listening to a song which you heard together, or a movie that you watched together, and you're watching it. Are you getting angry? Are you getting upset? Or are you just calm? Or are you just feeling okay about it? And when you have these kind of emotions which are regulated and which don't fluctuate, that's when you know that you are healed. And there's no craving to go back, or there's no craving to give it back to them, or there's no craving to, or there's no anger, there's no resentment, there's no hurt. So when all these things, you will see it for yourself, because you're the best person to judge yourself, especially your emotions, how they're regulated, your sleep patterns, your eating habits, everything has to be regulated. You will eat well, you will sleep well. Okay. You're not going to be thinking of this person at all the time. You're motivated to do new things.
Okay.
You're happy to connect with people, because if you're not healed, you will not do these things.
While we're looking at healing, there's something that's very important here, especially the relationships, that the memories we created. Yes. How do I let go? Okay, I've had people tell me, or people say, when I go to this place, when I see this food, I remember you.
Yes.
Okay, so to that person watching this show right now and is struggling with those, letting go of those memories, and I don't know, I can't say, but maybe it's fair to say that letting go of those memories, I think that's the toughest part of it.
Right.
And someone watching this show right now is thinking, okay, I created lovely memories with this man, with this woman, and all of a sudden it ended. Maybe I ended it, maybe he ended it, but how do I let go of these memories? How do I move on with my life? Because those memories, I think that's, letting go of those memories, I think that's the most important thing. So what would you say?
That's right. That's a hardest part for all of us, because we are humans and we are wired to connect. We are social animals. We love to socialize. We love to connect. We love people. And when you're connected with that one person who was your world at one point of time, and now when that person is gone, of course you've made so many memories, so many things that you did together. So the best thing is that first you have to be intentional about what you're doing. Work on yourself. You have to take time for healing, working on yourself, saying that I'm okay to let go. Maybe this was not the right fit for me. Talking self affirmations, talking to someone, taking help from a therapist, saying, hey, I'm going through this. If you can't go to the therapist, talk to a friend, talk to a loved one, family therapy, taking help from families, because still you're not completely healed. You won't be able to let go. And also not keeping their, during your courtship, you must have exchanged gifts, giving back everything, or just getting rid of them, not having any kind of memory around you, because that's definitely going to, bring back the old memories and like opening up your wounds back again.
Okay.
So this is very important, and it is a process. I can't say it's going to happen overnight. It is a process, and one has to go through it, because and there are stages to it. First it's like a shock, oh my god, I'm going through brokenness, and then it's pain, and then it's acceptance. Once you accept that, yes, it's over, it's no more, the person does not exist. So even when you go and eat that, the brain, and the best thing of the brain is has plasticity. It's called neuroplasticity, where you can keep learning new things, and the brain is able to process things and
Okay.
understand and accept and move on. That's the beauty of the brain. The brain is beautiful. It's wired so beautifully that everything is possible. But it is you who has to make that change. Nobody else. You can go to a therapist. He or she can just give you therapies. But if you don't work on it, if you don't apply it, no, it's not going to work.
Listening to you, I just understand, how beautiful the brain is, and I also realize that everything that we do, especially when it has to do with our emotions, comes from the brain. So if we are intentional, about all of this, I think it's going to go a long way. But let's look at this subject more. When we look at breakup, as it were. Now, you spoke about letting go of those memories. And earlier on, when we were having this conversation, we live in a world where at just a click of a button, your Instagram, your Facebook,
Yes.
your TikTok,
Yes.
you could literally see those memories
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Because I want us to really talk about the memories part. It's very important. Me, I would speak from my own point of view. I think at some point in my life, I was so much in love with a person, and when it ended, I still left the pictures on my phone. I still looked at the pictures. I still went through the videos. I've moved on, I would say, but I still want to keep those pictures.
A part of you
Yeah,
wanted to do that.
a part of me still want to keep those
Yeah.
pictures. A part of me still want to keep something about that person. I've moved on, right?
Okay.
I haven't entered other relationships. So, and there are persons watching this show right now and still in that kind of situation. Okay, I think I've moved on, they might say, but I still want to have a piece of this person. I still want to see this person somewhere, maybe in my phone or something. What would you say? Because I think this subject is very relational to people.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
would you say?
yeah. I would say that that's something that we need to disconnect from. That means you'll have to delete everything, because when you delete it physically, mentally your brain deletes it.
Okay.
It is programmed in such a way that you cannot keep these things. Like I said, whatever you've exchanged, the gifts and stuff like that, even the memories on the phone, you also need to block that person for a while. It's not about hate. It's for that moment till you're healed. And once, like you said, what we spoke earlier, you said that, yeah, your ex is your good friend now, because you have been mature enough to handle this relationship now. But initially, when you're holding on to those pictures, a part of you still wanted that, which people don't realize. And only when they are able to let go. Today, we are not able to let go of so many things in our lives. It could be so many things. It could be your clothes which you like and you're not fitting into it and you still want to hold on to it. So there's so many things that we need to let go. And letting go is, again, it's intentionality. It is your decision. It is you have to work on it, on yourself.
Okay.
It doesn't come from, I can just navigate you, but I can't help you. It is, you have to help yourself. So this is very important, and I want to tell people out there that deleting the pictures, no contacts, blocking people for that time, No, it's not about, some people say, oh, you're immature to block someone. No, it's not about that. It's for that moment till you're healed, because this is all about yourself. It's about your healing. Sometimes you even blame yourself. Oh, I'm the one to be blamed, and that's why I went through this. So all this is a process, and this will take time for us as humans, where we can, where the brain has to keep processing, keep thinking. But once you are accepted, once you come to acceptance, it is so simple. And there are various methods we can use to forget, or to let go. One is therapy, where you go to a therapist. One is meeting your loved ones, having families coming together. One of the things that you can do is self-reflection. Very, very, very important, where you can sit down, write whatever you're going through. Like I do it every day. For me, self-reflection is so important, and that really helps me in every area of my life. So how was my day? What did I do? What went wrong? What went right? Writing it down, and then reflecting. How was your action? Was it your fault? Was it your mistake? And then going back to that person and apologize, or whatever you want to set it right. Similarly, in a relationship, reflecting on yourself. Oh, this was wrong on my part, so I need to work on this behavior of mine, so I don't carry it, through the next relationship. So there are a lot of work that has to happen, that we have to work on ourselves. A lot of things that we need to do, and once this is done, then you'll see that automatically you will be able to you'll be in a position to move on and delete those pictures, and you'll be okay to let go.
Amazing. Now, when we talk about letting go, there's something also we should look at, because I saw a study that says that when the breakup is respectfully done, it's easier to let go than when the person just ghosts you. You try to want to get the closure.
Yes.
So I want you to like talk to us about closure. Is closure something we need to get? Is it that really necessary, or is something we just say to ourselves just to, for us to go through the moment, or is closure really necessary? I've spoken to people that will say, "Ken, I want to get my closure. I need to know why this relationship ended. I need to know what happened." Is closure really necessary?
That's I like that question, because I have a lot of people who come to me and ask me about the same thing. I need a closure. They didn't speak to me. They didn't tell me. If you understand, we humans, we always want to be validated. We're always curious to know why, when, how. And closure, sometimes people don't give you they don't give you a reason. They just walk away. And that is painful. That is the worst thing that can happen to anyone. So I would say, if you need a closure, you need a closure for yourself. So you need to ask yourself and tell yourself that, what, it's a closure. You don't need the opposite person to tell you it's a closure. So it's an acceptance, it's understanding, it's reflecting. Self-reflection is so important, because, like I said, at the end of it, it is your well-being. But in a relationship, we are always worried about the opposite person. We're always worried about, why she did this. But it's about, and that's not going to help, because they're not going to come to you for any closure. Even if you want them to come and speak, they're not going to do it for you. So closure has to come from within you, telling yourself that, what, it's done. This is my advice, because many people come and they say there's no closure, and they carry that pain, and the pain lingers, and the healing takes a lot of time. So this is the best way that you can have a closure for yourself, is just with your own self.
Amazing. Because trust me, the closure debates, especially among relationship sphere, is a very important topic.
Yeah.
I've had people say, "I need to know what really happened." All right, and them watching this right now, understanding that according to you, you don't need the other person to validate you why the relationship ended.
Yes.
You need to tell yourself, okay, it has ended. I should move on.
Yeah.
I don't need the next person to tell me, okay, it happened like this, it happened the other way
Yeah.
around. So, yeah, because sometimes we end up looking for closure. We get that. We go to talk to the ex and we get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll say
So
this.
true.
Yes, I'll say this. I've seen scenarios where the relationship ended, right? But in the bid to get closure, you go back to the ex and you get stalked. And it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
You don't come out of it.
True.
It becomes toxic, it becomes unhealthy for you.
True.
Because people need to know.
Yes.
This is like one of the very important angles to this subject. Closures, like you did say, is with you.
Yeah.
The next person is okay. It's fine. Me, I need to understand that, okay, it ended.
yeah.
I ended it, or he ended it.
It's okay.
Or it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
No closures. Don't go to talk to them, because trust me, especially among the younger people, they want to know.
Yes,
They want to know what really
Yes,
happened.
yes,
Is it
yes.
my fault? Can I get back there?
Yeah.
Can I do something differently this time?
Yes.
Most of the times, the relationship ended because first things first, that relationship wasn't supposed to be in the first place.
Absolutely.
Or secondly, things happened that ought not to have happened. So if we realize that closure starts with you, trust me, this is like one of the very, very important part of this subject, closure, because I could relate with it.
Yes, I can imagine.
You know, and a lot of
You're
people,
looking so excited.
I'm
to
so
talking
excited about this particular angle, and a lot of people watching this could also relate to it.
Yes.
And let's look at something more on this subject. Can you walk us through, the grief? Because when we talk about letting go, a relationship, someone said losing a loved one and losing a partner is closely related. So while we want to let go, we still want to grieve. So how do we navigate all of that?
Yeah. So grief, losing a loved one, is you have lost that person for a lifetime. You know, they're not no more. Like my mom is no more. No matter what I do, she's not going to come back. So that is losing a loved one. But grief in a relationship is that person is around you. They're there. Maybe you can see them on social media,
Okay.
or maybe they are you're bumping into them. They're there, and that gets very hard because you just want to be there and get back to them, or probably you're trying to make some connections. Probably you're trying to chat with them or see them through social media and see, oh, what's happening in their life. Are they happy? Are they sad? If they are happy, you get sad because you don't like it that they're
Okay,
happy.
all
But if
right.
they're sad, you enjoy because again there's a dopamine hit for you, saying that okay, fine, they're sad, so it's okay, good. Even if I'm sad, they're sad, that's fine. So this is what happens. It's actually grief, losing someone, and a breakup is the same grief a person goes through. It's the same pain. So what happens to the brain over here is that, like I said, the brain is it feels the same pain like a physical pain when a person goes through. The same thing that the mental pain the brain feels, where you're going through brokenness, you're going through pain, you're going through emotional breakdowns, you lose your appetite, you can't do things that you once did, you have lost your pleasure is hurt because the person who gave you pleasure is not there with
Yeah.
you, not there anymore. Then your connection is hurt because relationship is all about connections. Connection is hurt, you can't connect back. Then your self-esteem is hurt. You keep asking, what wrong did I do, why me? And you keep blaming yourself. At times, most of the times in relationship, people blame themselves. Oh, because I did not do this well, that's why this happened. So I would want to tell people that stop blaming yourself and get deep down to yourself. And it is about your self-esteem. It's about who you are. It's about your worth. Your self-worth is so important, and all this will help you, navigate through this whole process.
You
of
know,
grief.
you said something very important, in your explanation about self-worth and self-esteem.
Yeah.
When the relationship ends, I have seen stories on social media when a lady breaks up with a guy and they tell you hit the gym. Maybe you aren't looking attractive enough. Maybe a relationship ends and you're being told as a man, maybe you didn't have enough money, you couldn't provide, you couldn't step up financially. And I think, that when a relationship ends, we tend to doubt our self-worth. Our self-esteem is affected.
Yes.
As a psychologist, we need to hear from you how we can, work on our self-esteem and self-worth when a relationship ends. Because if we know that, that's going to help us a lot.
That's so important. So self-esteem is all about how you feel about yourself. Now again, this goes back to your childhood, how you developed as a child.
Yeah.
The family that you came from, your background. So if you're raised with a family who's loving, caring, who's supportive, who appreciates all that you do, so your self-esteem will always be high, no matter if you're hurt, no matter what people do to you, because you have been raised in that way, right?
Yeah.
But if you're raised like your attachment style is where you feel neglected, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected, and that's how your self-esteem is affected. So it's very important in a relationship. Self-esteem and self worth has to be taken care of. Now, I would say that okay, fine, don't look at your attachment style, but work on yourself. So even if you're feeling low, even if you're feeling rejected, work on yourself, because you're worthy, you're worth more than anyone else. I mean, whatever the person has done to you, maybe they had a problem, maybe they had an attachment issue, maybe they had childhood traumas which they did not know how to handle, but you were right. So look at yourself as, yes, I did the right thing. Reflect. That's why I keep telling people, keep reflecting on yourself and find the mistakes and accept it. At times, you are in fault and you don't want to accept it. That's how when you don't learn. Through relationships, through brokenness, there's a lot of learning for every individual out there. And I've seen that people, some of them really learn lessons of their life. Like I've learned a lot of lessons of my life. And there are people who are still not able to understand or learn. And as human beings, we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Amazing.
This is very important.
Amazing.
And that's how you'll have growth mindset. Otherwise, you'll have a fixed mindset. You're just fixed. Okay, this is how I was raised as a child. This is what I eat. This is how I sleep. This is how I wear my clothes. That's it. You're fixed. And you don't want to change. I tell people, oh, you have a smartphone, and you're using a smart car. You're using a smart house. You have everything that's smart. But what about your own self? Why aren't you working on yourself? You need to we need to evolve, right?
Yeah.
Because we are so fixed with our mindset. So when you have fixed mindset, you don't want that change, you don't want that shift. You're just stuck there and say, no, this is me, I can't do it, take it or leave it. But I would say, if you want to see that shift, you need to have a growth mindset. And with growth mindset, things are going to be beautiful, because you're going to grow with every challenge in your life. Every challenge comes with lessons that you learn. And from every brokenness, you're going to learn new lessons. So for me, challenge is like, oh, wow, I'm going through this challenge. And what am I learning? Oh, I've learned these things.
I'm actually being compelled to ask you a particular question about lessons learned, because could you share with us the most important lessons you've learned, in relationships or heartbreak in your lifetime?
Well, all of us go through heartbreaks, and which is quite painful. For me, it has been, I would say, yes, I did go through a lot of pain, but it was a beautiful journey, because what I learned was to forgive. From my experience, I learned to forgive, and forgiveness was not easy. It was not simple that, okay, you made a mistake and I'm going to forgive you for what you did, which was wrong. But you had to make it's a decision. It is a, I would say, it is which comes from within you. You can just say, oh, I forgive you, but no, forgiveness is which comes from within you. And as I decided to forgive, and that is a journey where I had an encounter, I had a divine intervention, I had an encounter with my creator, and that made it so easy, because I spiritually, I became very strong, and my spiritual life, that journey helped me to give back to the society. Through my experiences, I learned to reach out to people, to help people, give a listening ear, understand their problem, because I know that I went through this pain. I know I went through this problem, and I knew how to get over it through
Okay.
my journey. And giving back was so beautiful, because again, giving back was helping me heal within, and that healing is something which is permanent, I would say. It doesn't go back to your past. It doesn't remind you of what has happened, because that is a beautiful way to let go. And yes, I would say these are the lessons that I learned, and I'm still learning. I'm still a learner. I'm still a student, and I would love to be like that.
You know, I like the fact, I like the fact that you spoke about, keep learning. Anytime I sit with any teacher, lecturer, educator, they always stress on the need,
Yeah.
keep learning, and all of that. And I believe as humans, when we keep learning, we keep evolving and our lives gets better. I'll be honest. At a point in my life, I was very, very rigid. Really, I was like, this is how I've been doing my thing. Like, I'll just do it this way. This is Ken. Ken does things this way. But along the line, I realized that that's not the way it is.
True.
You have to change. You have to tweak a few things. You have to adapt. You have to change a few things. And as humans, that's very important.
True.
And in the lessons you've learned, you spoke about forgiveness.
Yeah.
A lot of people underestimate this. It's very important. And I want to ask you, what role does forgiveness, both of the ex and oneself, play in moving on?
So I would say forgiveness is not for your ex, it is for yourself. Because when you forgive, there are different hormones and chemical reactions that take place in your brain. Because when you forgive, your brain is able to let go. It's able to wash away the memory. You are calm, you're composed, you're able to give, you're able to love, you're able to move on in life. And there's so much that's happening to you. So if you're holding on to unforgiveness, it's like drinking poison and waiting for your ex to something wrong to happen to your ex. It's like that. That's exactly what psychology says. So holding on to grudge, holding on to unforgiveness is only going to damage yourself, not the opposite person. So I would say forgiveness is one of the best that one can do for your own well-being, for your own mental strength, and that gives you, I would say, resilience. It gives you strength. It gives you mental toughness. So there's a lot of things involved in forgiveness.
When you talk about forgiveness, it sounds easy, right?
Yes.
But to someone that was betrayed, that was really hurt. For instance, you love this man or you love this woman so much, and he cheated on you or she cheated on you multiple times, betrayed your trust. You think it's that easy to forgive the person and move on, really?
No, it is definitely not easy. Like I said, the brain goes through pain. Like you breaking a bone, the physical pain, the same mental pain the brain goes through when you go through hurt and betrayal. But like I said, it's a journey, it's a process. It cannot happen overnight. So whoever's watching me right now must understand that you have to go through it step by step, day by day, week by week, year by year. And letting go is the only way for us is to give to others. When you start giving to others, automatically your brain starts the chemicals, the hormones start balancing so beautifully. So it's very important for us. We are designed so beautifully that everything is inside our brain. Everything is wired, and we don't need we don't need pills, or we don't need antidepressant. Nothing. We just need to work on ourselves, on our emotions, regulating your emotions, understanding, learning to let go, forgiving, caring, loving, sharing. All these things, when you start doing, automatically your heart changes. There's a shift in your personality. There's a rush of dopamine which helps you. So these chemicals definitely help you to forgive and let go. And it is a practice. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not that, I'm going to do it today, I'll do it for a week, and then again I'm going to be angry. Or when I look at his picture or her picture, I'm going to be very angry or upset. No, it is a practice. It's a process. It's a journey, I would say. And I have experienced it. Today, I sit here, when I talk, I can say I've done it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So if you could do it.
Yeah, so I'm sure
Okay.
if this is the practice, if you follow these steps, Anyone can do it. Anyone. So I would say it, and it is acceptance that okay, fine. Whoever's done something to you, you accept it and you move on, and then you forgive them, saying okay, fine. Maybe they had a problem. Maybe they went through they had a mental health problem, or maybe they had childhood traumas, or maybe they had their own issues. So understanding from their point of view, and then not suppressing your emotions. Of course you have to talk about it, how you feel, but understanding from their point of view and saying okay, it's fine, I do understand. I know it may sound easy, but like I said, it is a journey. It's not going to take you, it is going to take you some time, but surely this is going to be beautiful. And even when you look at that person, you're going to be like, it's okay, fine, you can just smile at them and move on.
Amazing. And, I like the fact that you were able to really pour your heart into talking about forgiveness, because I understand that it resonated with you, because that was one of the
Yeah.
most important lessons you learned,
Yeah.
when you were heartbroken. And
Yes.
forgiveness is key.
Yes.
If we learn to forgive,
True.
because let's also look at it from this perspective. One of the reasons why we treat our new relationship in a very different ways, because we've not learned to forgive.
Right.
We carry that emotional baggage
True.
into the new relationship. So if we learn to forgive, regardless, he cheated on me, she cheated on me, it's okay. It's their own issue, okay?
True.
They weren't good for me,
True.
probably.
True.
And we move on to the next relationship, hoping for the best. I think that's going to go a long way. I'm having a very fantastic time talking about relationships, today. It's a fantastic time. But as we look to wrap up, I want to talk about something very important, which is, letting go of your ex. Really. A lot of people struggle with letting go, the feeling of letting go of the ex. Today on the show, we've been talking about letting go for a lot of time. But conclusively, I want you to really talk to that person struggling with letting go of the ex. It's easy for us to sit down and talk, okay, let go, wipe the pictures, and all of this. But to that person watching this right now, to that man, to that woman watching this show right now, and is struggling with letting go of that ex, that life that they all planned together, what would you say? Because I myself, I struggled with letting go, really, for several months, for even years. I struggled with letting go of this life was done. Like the life I had with you was over. And that people watching this right now and struggling with letting go of that ex, I'm moving on.
I would say that how one can achieve this, or how one can overcome this, is what you can do is it is hard. I know it's hard. It's painful, but you have to let go, because you're doing it for yourself. Like I said, you're not doing it for that person. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your own mental peace, and for that you need to take certain steps. I would say one of the things is that taking help from your family, meeting new people, having new friends. You can have your new hobbies, getting into painting, or learning to do some art, or learning a new language, or music. So you can divert your mind, and that's how you'll able to let go. One of the things what you can do is I love this, and I also tell my students, and I tell people who come to me for counseling. I said, gratitude journal is so wonderful.
What is gratitude journal, actually?
So basically, you write 3 things that you're grateful for every day, and when you do this, when you're intentionally writing, it could be anything. You could start with, oh, I thank you for, I got my 3 meals today. I thank you. I thank for having a wonderful day, and I'm safe and secure, and I'm back home. I thank you. I thank you because I have a job. Right? There's so many who come to Dubai, and people struggle. So 3 things when you write every day about, I'm grateful for my parents, I'm grateful for my friends, I'm grateful for I have a shelter. So when you start writing this, your brain starts receiving, accepting, and you form resilience. Your brain starts becoming strong. Your brain is ready for a challenge. So this is the chemical reaction that's taking place when you're writing a journal, just by being grateful. And this works like magic. I mean, you can also try this. This really works. So gratitude journal is something which I would tell people out there. Write 3 things that you're grateful for. Also, reflect on yourself. Because what we do is that when things go wrong, when things are good, we're happy about it. And that's the time we don't want to think about anything that's, because everything is going well, you're happy, you're excited, you're building a future for yourself. But when things go wrong, you're supposed to sit down, reflect. What was my part? What was my contribution in this relationship? What did I contribute? And when you start reflecting and you start thinking of your ex, what was her contribution? What was his contribution? And sometimes you wonder that, yeah, this was not that great. So this was not the right fit for me. So it's good. Whatever happens is for my own good. That's very important. That this only happens when you reflect. But we humans, we forget to reflect. Most of them, I'm sure most of them do, but I don't know. When I talk to people, when I ask them, they don't know. So I literally teach them. I said, do this. Reflect on yourself. Reflect on what you're going through. And this brings in the best out of you. It gives you resilience. It gives you hope for your future. And then you're ready for your next relationship. You're ready to move on in life because there's hope, there's love, there's excitement. When you see excitement, then you know that, yes, I'm ready to move on in life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lavina. This subject, I think we need a part 2, actually.
I know. You can just go on and on.
Yeah, we need a part 2. And thank you so much for sharing your wealth of experience, your wisdom, knowledge, to anyone watching this right now. And I personally, I learned a lot from this because this subject was very emotional to me, to be very honest. And while I was even preparing for the show, I had mixed feelings, Yeah, I had mixed feelings preparing for this because when we talk about heartbreaks and moving on, it's a very tough subject.
Yes.
It's a universal topic that,
yes.
We cannot find
True.
the best solution all the time. We just keep learning every day.
Yes, like I said.
And trying to find our way through this, And as we wrap up, all right, something just came to mind, really. Because I had a conversation with someone recently, and the person said, I had a heartbreak, with someone, and when I sleep in the morning, I think of the person, all right? We are done, all right? He's moved on. He says he doesn't want me no more. We are done. But she struggles to, actually do her thing. In the morning, she wakes up and thinks of this guy. At the end of the day, she still thinks of this guy. And she's struggling with it.
Yeah.
And she might be watching the show, maybe. Yeah. What would you say?
I would say that she's still stuck in that cycle of those thoughts. She still keeps imagining those memories, those moments that she spent with him. And she has a craving to get back. But all I want to say is that she has to, take a break, sit down, accept it, that this is not happening. Work on herself, and I know it's painful. It's not easy, but she has to accept it. And once the acceptance happens, the brain is ready to release the right chemicals. The brain is ready to delete those memories. Do you know our brain can delete memories? Yeah, it can literally delete because
really?
Yeah, because so it's like a a power center where you give command to your brain and your brain listens to you. So it is you who has to take a decision. It's you who has to speak to your brain and say, okay, now stop it. Like when you're angry, you can keep getting angry all times, but when you make a decision saying that no, I think I need to work on my anger, right? And when you make a decision, you'll see yourself, calming down. Maybe 5 years back, you look at yourself, or if I look at myself, yes, and now if I see myself, I have mellowed down, and I'm sure you agree with that. Each one of us, because we made a decision. So she needs to make a decision saying that, if the opposite person is not willing to talk or, come back, I'm just going to be prolonging my my healing. There's going to be a delay in her healing. So if she needs to heal, she needs to make a decision, sitting down, calming herself, taking advice from some friend, going to a therapist, having family, someone to support, because you need a support system, because her support system is no more now, whom she depended on, whom she wanted all her life, whom she built dreams with. He's no more. So she needs a support system maybe friends who can stand by her and say, okay, fine, it's gone. Maybe this person was not the right person, or just making her feel, where she can move on in life, giving her advice, love, affection. That's what she needs right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Lavina, for sharing those nuggets. And I hope you're watching this, and everyone that's gone through or is going through heartbreak. Dr. Lavina has been able to dish out some life experiences and some psychological, wisdom on how to navigate the whole process. And I believe that you took down some notes. And that's it on today's episode of Fuse with Ken. I had an amazing time, trust me. And when I go back home, I'm going to reflect. I'm going to do a lot of self-reflection, So if you are in the middle of a heartbreak right now, know this: healing takes time, and you're allowed to take all the time you need.
Yeah.
You are not broken. You are becoming.
Amen.
If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it too. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, as the support is highly appreciated. Until next time, be gentle with your heart. It's doing the best it can. Thank you so much, and bye for now.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Amazing,
Thank you so much. Thank
know.
you. So get me some